Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
So, are you having fun yet, guys? Welcome in to Game Over Toronto following whatever that was. Certainly, well, it was allegedly a playoff game. It certainly looked like a potential Leafs closeout game if I've ever seen one. So welcome in to Game Over Toronto. My name is Zach Payne. I am one of your hosts for this evening, and I'm joined by wow. See, I'm as on my game as the Leafs were tonight. I'm joined by Lauren Williamson, and Lauren, we're gonna start simple here. How do you feel?
This is the bad place. You know what? I feel happy that another Toronto hockey team of mine won tonight. And my favorite goalie in the entire world, Carly Jackson, led the Toronto Scepters to a win against the New York Sirens. Because that is more exciting to talk about than this Leafs game.
Yeah, this was certainly one of the games of all time.
This was a one-pager, everybody. A one-pager.
Yeah, man, I don't even know if this deserved pages tonight. The Leafs certainly didn't give you or anyone their money's worth tonight. I jokingly, not even jokingly, I posted that everyone in the Scotiabank Arena deserves a refund for tonight. We deserve a refund for having to watch it, and we should be paid for our time tonight because that was brutal. That was absolutely brutal. The Leafs lose 4-0 in Game 5 to the Ottawa Senators. The 7-game series is now 3-2. And suddenly, what 4 days ago was a near mathematical certainty is suddenly now in tremendous doubt. So we're going to talk about it here on Game Over Toronto. I apologize, everyone, if the stream is a little choppy. I'm not sure what is going on with my computer. Discord just always overloads it, but hopefully the audio is coming through all right. We're going to start. So normally what we like to do is we do a game recap in the first segment, and then we do what the Leafs did well, what the Leafs didn't do well, whatever. I don't even know if we should necessarily talk that in depth about the game because the Leafs didn't really show up. I think we need to talk more about why this is happening and what's wrong with this team, what needs to change in Game 6, and then we'll get into questions at the end. So to start with, this game, overall, in terms of the quality of chances both teams were generating, no one was generating anything. If we're going to give the Leafs any credit at all, they're still defending well. But if the Leafs offensively are just not generating anything, Lauren, tonight, compared to the rest of the series, what did you see that caused the Leafs offense to dry up so significantly?
A lot of it was, I made several notes about the Leafs just in general looking quite lackadaisical with the exception of the 3rd/4th line. There were a number of shifts where like the top line and a couple players, namely somebody named Mitch Marner, literally from the Leafs blue line, the Sens blue line, all the way to the Leafs bench, not even bending his knees to make a change. Like no hustle, and the game was tied at that point. And it just, the only line tonight that had any drive in any way, shape, or form was the 3rd/4th/identity line, whatever you want to call it. They were the only real line, in my opinion, that created chances. Like, don't get me wrong, the Leafs did a good job of like getting a bunch of shots, but every single one of them was swallowed up by Ullmark. Like, they didn't do enough. They couldn't make a pass. They couldn't make a read. They couldn't hold on to the puck. They couldn't not whiff on an opportunity that was sitting right in front of them. There was a number of times where Ullmark was out of his net, and there's 4 blue sweaters and 5 white and red sweaters, and they can't do anything.
Yeah, the Leafs
didn't have an answer.
The Leafs were definitely fighting the puck in this one a lot tonight, and the ice in the Scotiabank Arena didn't seem to be particularly good tonight, but honestly, it looked like the Leafs were gripping their sticks too hard. They looked tense. They looked a little tight in their game. If we harken back to the Amazon documentary for a moment, Sheldon Keefe, it was the overtime between the intermission between overtime in Game 6 against Montreal, and Sheldon Keefe is in front of the team. He's like, we're the ones that have a chance to move on. They're the team playing with their season on the line, and we look tight. We look like we're playing with our backs against the wall. Why? You guys have nothing to be afraid of. And the same story was true here. The Leafs just, I don't know what, it's the Paul McLean, they got demons under their beds, in their cars, at the rink, everywhere they go, they've got demons. And I don't know how this seems to impact the entire roster when it's the same. It's the 4 guys. Well, 5. I'll give Morgan Riley in there too. It's the core 4 plus Morgan Riley. And these guys, the effect it has on the rest of the team is insane. Everyone looks scared. You have nothing to be scared of. You're up 3-1. You're playing in front of your home fans. That barn was ready to explode. And they never gave them an excuse to do so. Even early on, in games 1 and 2, what did the Leafs do in the first 5 minutes of both those games? They made hits, they set the tone, and they got the crowd into it. Now, this may shock some of you, the Leafs are actually dead last in the playoffs in hits. I don't know where the physicality has gone, but it has just vanished. To start the series at home, they looked like energy bugs out there, and they got the crowd into it. They got early goals, and that has completely disappeared. The Leafs are playing the complete opposite offensive game that they were playing to start this series. They are not playing on their toes at all. They are completely on their heels, and I'm not going to lie, I wasn't concerned going into this game. I was like, okay, the Sens got 1. You go back to Toronto, you reset, 2 days off, and you can get a win at home. This is not the Leafs team that went up 3-0. This is the Leafs team that blew a 3-1 series lead to Montreal, that blew Game 5 against Columbus, that blew Game 6 and 7 against Boston in 2019, that et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The Leafs reverted back to their absolute worst form.
Yep, and it doesn't matter who the coach is. Yeah, man, I've seen this show before. It was, and it's crazy. A couple games ago, them getting a power play was a death sentence for the Sens, and now it's it feels like it did back in the season when it was I hope that we don't get one. And it's unbelievable how every single drop of offense has expired and evaporated. And on top of that, what you're saying about the hits, Florida Tampa is not getting friendlier.
No. Well,
and not that I want this series to be that. That's not what I want. But the only person with any real physicality tonight was Matthew Nyes, and he got the crowd going early on with that really nice pushback on Pinto where he literally flipped him over like a cheap teapot. Right? And it's the crowd wanted to get into it. And by the last 30 seconds, man, the arena's 90% empty and the Boo Birds are out. And I don't blame them.
You pay how much for playoff tickets in Toronto?
Couple grand.
They should be booing. You got shut out on home ice in a potential closeout game against a team that, look, I will give Ottawa credit. They have battled back and they are now, suddenly this is a series again, right? Yep. They haven't been doing anything special. They look the exact same as they did in games 1 to 3. The difference is the Leafs look worse. The Leafs are suddenly making these brain dead mistakes. They're out of steam. If we look at Game 4, we look at the goals that were scored in that game, right? It was, I have to remember the first few goals of that game. Tim Stützle on the power play, savable shot. Stolarz just got beat. The second goal was shorthanded Shane Pinto breakaway. Third goal was David Perron's side of the net. And then Sanderson with a floater from the point that just a seeing eye shot. How do they start this game? They are getting 0 offense. And Thomas Chabot, just a floater from the point, finds its way to the back of the net. And the second that goal went in, the life got sucked out of the entire Toronto Maple Leafs organization for no reason. And there is no logical explanation as to why this happens to the Leafs. The Leafs psychology is so fragile. Like they are just so
Hot and
mentally
soft.
weak.
Yeah.
They're so
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's truly shocking to see a team that has all the potential in the world. They went up 3-0 in the series, and they're the ones that are mentally fragile right now. Like, it should be the other way around. The Sens should be like, oh no, if we make one mistake, we're going home. But no, it's the Leafs that are suddenly playing tight. It defies logic.
And it's weird, like it's it almost feels like an immaturity thing, because like tonight Matthews, like, you know, he makes a couple plays and gets close, and then it shows him on the bench like breaking another stick, and it's like, man, it's not the stick's problem. Like, I'm sorry to say, man, it ain't the stick. And now, you know, in fairness, he took what looked like a really awful shot to the palm of the hand. I imagine that didn't tickle, and I imagine that it didn't help, but like, he is one
Yeah, and
I know, Lou. I agree.
His wrists are like, we know that he has wrist problems, and he will for the rest of his career. That being said, it's not like his injuries and bumps and bruises are impacting his decision making. His bum wrist didn't force him to throw a grenade up the middle in the offensive zone and hands the Sens a 2-on-1 shorthanded.
Yep.
And you know, Matthews is the best goal scorer in the league. I've never seen someone so dominant in the regular season, though, suddenly incapable of doing what makes them special in the playoffs. In Game 4 in overtime, he's a post away from winning the series and getting a signature moment. In this game, he hits the post again, also hands the Sens a goal, also lost the faceoff that led to the Sens' first goal. What's so funny is, coming into this game, the Leafs were outscoring the Senators 10-1 when Matthews was on the ice. And suddenly in this game, I think the Sens scored 3 with Matthews on the ice. I have no idea.
It defies logic. It does.
I have no idea.
It's nonsensical. And you know, the crazy thing is, like, I don't know, that's a bit doomsday-y, but like, he just seems to not be able to like do really well in big moments. Like, look at the Four Nations, man.
Yeah,
like, if he's on team, if he'll be on Team America for the Olympics, like, giddy up. You know what I mean? Like,
and I watched that championship game. Binnington robbed him 3 times, but at the same time, man, like, and you know, Matthew in the chat saying, I blame Berube. The Leafs have not won since Nicky Bobby was taken out. Maybe
it's time to put him back. Honestly, they need offense.
We are back in. Robertson needs to play, because look,
and Kemp. Take Pontus Holmberg out. He's good for nothing.
Well, so you know what, we can have our gripes with. We'll talk about the lineup in a second, because Berube was definitely questionable with his lineup decisions, but yeah, I don't know. Nicky Bobby was horrible in games 1 and 2. Same time though, you need someone that is a shooting threat. Pacioretty is fine, but I don't need another Pontus Holmberg. I don't need a passenger. I don't need someone that's just going to be a net zero. You need someone that can potentially be a spark plug at this point, because as the series tightens up, and we know the Leafs are prone to having their scoring evaporate as the series tightens up, you need someone that can just rip a shot and like pray at this point, because heading into Game 6, first of all, I'm so sorry to every Leafs fan out there. The next 48 hours are going to be hell for the discourse online. Every story that's published is going to be social media. Yeah, don't go on social media. Like,
don't read things. Don't just go. You know, it's supposed to be like nice the last couple of days. Like, go for a walk.
Every series, like every story, is going to be about how the Leafs are 1-13 in closeout games in this era, and how they're on the verge of blowing it. And every comment is going to be like, haha, the Sens have the chance to do the funniest thing ever. Just for your own mental health, don't do it. I'm curious to see what Berube has to say. We'll read his post-game quotes later in the show. But for now, I'm going to turn us over to our second segment. As I do, just a reminder to hit like and subscribe with notifications turned on. That way you never miss a stream. And make sure to follow the Game Over Network on social media as well. Now, this second segment, we talked about the players and the problems in this game specifically and in the past. Craig Berube. I don't want to blame the coach. The coach didn't make Matthews throw a grenade up the middle. The coach didn't make Thomas Chabot floater from the point go in. The coach didn't do this, that, and the other. Like, the coach didn't tell them to stop going to the net for no reason. That being said, what did the coach do? The coach put Pontus Holmberg back on line 2 when it's clear that doesn't work. The coach is still running out Max Domi more than he needs to. And the coach, speaking of which, put Max Domi back on the second line in the third period after giving Bobby McMahon one shift in that role, and a shift that was an offensive zone shift that was in the offensive zone for the majority of the time. I have, look, man, for as bad as the players were, Berube also deserves blame for his decisions.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. Like, I like some of the decisions that he made. I like that he started the third period with the fourth line, fourth line, whatever you want to call it.
Check-in line.
Yeah, because they were the only line that was actually playing really hard in the other team's end. Like, the Leafs were playing just like 3-ply Cottonelle soft today. Across the board, like, they were skating soft. Their passes were soft. Their shots were inaccurate and soft. Like, there was at no point, like, the Leafs had a really good first shift. That was my first note. Leafs have a great first shift. McCabe ices it by accident, and it just William Domi couldn't connect. Riley saves it. He makes a really nice save on the goal line. Like, there's a couple really nice chances early. Like, there's opportunity at the beginning, and then they don't score, and they get another penalty. They can't bury on the 4-on-4. They go down, like, Nyes is a beast to end the first period. They're up in the shot column, and it just, the more time went on, the more it's like, man, like, and there's a lot of people that have already been saying this online. I made the mistake of checking Blue Sky before we came on. And I'm starting to really sort of believe this whole mantra of, like, the Leafs love to win. They don't hate to lose. Like, they don't hate losing.
Well,
they won't fight tooth and nail.
What's funny
lose.
is the funny thing is they play not to lose. They don't play to win, ironically. Mm-hmm. So I want to share this insight. This is from a buddy of mine, Alex Drain. He writes from Maple Leaf Hot Stove. And I was texting him during the game, and he just sent this. This game is an example of why playing a low event style of game is a bad idea. 1.5 to 1 expected goals, like winning 1.5 to 1, is a 60% expected goal share, which is very good. But at the end of the day, in raw numbers, you're only outplaying them by 0.5 goals. Whereas if you do 3.5 expected goals to 2.3, that's also a 60% share, but now you're outplaying them by 1.2 goals. So the Leafs are choosing to play this style. That is the Berube thing. They want to be in a defensive system. The problem is when you play low event hockey, a Thomas Chabot point shot that just finds a way through traffic, suddenly that going in completely changes the complexion of the game. Whereas if this was a more high octane offense, you wouldn't be as worried. Or even the team that played in Game 4. The team that was playing in Game 4, they came back in that game multiple times, and they showed that they could get to the net. The Sens parked the bus so aggressively in Game 4. I don't know if it's a thing this team just can't play at home in big moments. I mean, it's not like they can play great on the road either, but I don't know what's going, like, again, it still defies logic.
There's something in the water for sure. Charlie from Game Over Ottawa in the chat. A lot of Sens fans owe Ullmark an apology. Yeah, man, like, credit where credit's due. As the series has gone on, Ullmark has gotten better and better.
He had a great Game 4. He had a great Game 4.
He was doing so good with, like, rebound control and not. Yes.
There was no one to get the rebounds. Ullmark is like, that was his first career playoff shutout. He is never going to have an easier shutout in his life. The Leafs stopped going to the net. There was zero traffic. There was nobody to pick up the rebounds in front. The only dangerous moments came in those chaotic moments for the Leafs. And there was 3 or 4 of them in the game. Like, I'll give Ullmark credit. Like you said, he did a great job kicking rebounds out, and he was doing a good job
making pucks dead. That's what he was doing. He was doing a good job of that.
And my counter to that is the Leafs just didn't have, like, he saw every puck from the point. It's a lot easier to glove a puck down, to squeeze it against your chest, to kick it to an area that's not as dangerous when there isn't anyone battling in front of the net, when there's no one that the puck might deflect off of. Were any shots deflected in this game for the Leafs? I can't recall.
There was one. Yeah, there was one. JT got a close tip, and
and that was ended
it.
up being a good chance. Like, it forced Ullmark to react late, and the puck barely went wide. So it just, I was not impressed with the Leafs offense. I will give credit to the Sens defense for as much as we've talked about how they don't handle physicality as well. They did a great job tonight, clearing the front of the net, making life easy on their goaltender. I'm a lot more concerned about the Leafs play compared to the Senators playing better, if that makes sense. Yeah, like the way go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, even before the end of the second period, like, the shots are 14-7, 10 minutes in. The Leafs were getting chances, but they couldn't bury anything. The Leafs at that point were lucky they were only down one goal because Stoley made a couple of really good saves, and Lorenz can't bury that 2-0, and then he tries to load up the top line with William Nylander, Mitch Marner, and Austin Matthews, which we all know doesn't work. It doesn't work. But in fairness, he just got here. He hasn't tried that in playoffs. We know it doesn't work, but do you really think that he went back and watched last year's playoff footage? No, he didn't look.
Why? You should have. Do that in the offseason.
I would, but I guarantee you he did not go back and watch their playoff footage.
That should have been he got hired when? When did he get hired? End of June? That should have been the first thing. Is okay, so this team has lost in the first round a lot of years. They got through in 2023, but what went wrong? That should be mission number one, is figure out what went wrong, why am I here, and why did the other guy get fired? That should be the number, that's the primary objective of a new coach is, okay, what went wrong and how do I fix it? I will give Craig Berube credit. We talked about this throughout this series. The biggest difference from Sheldon Keefe is Berube has kept this team composed. This was the first game that the team did not look composed. So I'm curious to see his comments. The Leafs comments are coming out, and I'm hesitant to read them because I'm going to be mad about them. But maybe I'll do that to start overtime. But for now, I'm very curious to see Berube's execution, or his game plan going into game 6, his lineup decisions, his changes, but more importantly, the way he talks about the team. That is going to be very telling. That
Brady
being
can
said,
check on what he anticipates from a home crowd in Ottawa on Thursday night. I expect pure insanity.
It's going to be so electric, man. It's going to be game 4 was a little bit worse than game 3 because the 3-0 series lead, more Leaf fans got in there. It is going to be the same as game 3. It is going to be bananas. And if the Sens score first, that building is going to blow the roof off.
Yep. Chris Johnston just posting Craig Berube's post-game message to his players, quote, "Stick with it." He adds that it's playoffs and they need composure. Hello, Potato. No, please don't join us over here.
Yeah, and look, that the second part of that I like a lot better than the first. We're up 3-2 in the series. I think Tanev said we're up 3-2 in the series. I think we're fine. Here's my problem. Anthony Stolarz after the game.
I hate it so much.
It's a good effort by us. We seem a bit snake-bitten. We like our game. We outshot them. Guess what? The Sens outshot you in the first 3 games. We sat here and told you that doesn't matter because the quality didn't matter. Guess what? You outshooting them means dick and balls if you don't get quality chances. Mitch Marner, we had our looks, didn't capitalize on them. Marner had 2 good looks. I'll give him that. Got to bury, though. It's not supposed to be easy. We've been a great road team all year. Okay. What about the home? You're at home tonight. I don't care about your road. You lost at home tonight. Matthews, the execution at times wasn't there. We've been a good road team all season. I don't care. You lost at home. Why are you bad at home in closeout games? If you win on the road, fine. But I understand having confidence. I don't know if Matthews deserves to have confidence after that game, but man, I hate the messaging from Stolars. I get that he's a goalie and it's a little removed for him, so it's a little bit more black and white from a goaltender's perspective. I super hate the attitude from Marner, and I super hate the attitude from Matthews. I like Chris Tanev. He can say whatever he wants. Chris Tanev was fantastic tonight. He saved at least 2 goals single-handedly, made another great play on a 2-on-1. But as David W says, stick with it. How about announcing there'll be a bag skate? Seriously. They won't do that because you don't want to tire your guys out in the playoffs, but nothing the team has done has inspired much confidence going into Game 6. That being said, we still have to talk about Game 6. As I turn us over to our third segment here, just a reminder to hit like and subscribe. There's 14 of you in here right now, so make sure, I only see 9 likes right here. Get a couple more likes in there. And now, Lauren, this is going to be difficult. But we have to try.
This whole show's been difficult, bro.
We have to try. No, but we have to try now to be optimistic. If the Leafs are going to win this series in Game 6, I don't want to think about Game 7. If the Leafs are going to win this series in Ottawa on Thursday, there's a few things, but what is the number one thing that has to change?
They need to put the puck in the net. They need to stop hitting posts. They need to come out like they give a single rat's ass. Just one. Preferably flying. One flying rat's ass would be more than we got tonight.
Josh DeSavino in the chat. Why can't we just be happy? Because we're Leaf fans. All right? Yeah. We're Leaf fans. We chose this life, or maybe it chose you. I don't know. But all I know is this life is not for the faint of heart because it brings nothing but misery.
I want to believe, man. They make it so damn difficult sometimes.
And dude, we were the funny thing is we've been so optimistic. You win Game 1, great job. Great job. You start the series off on the right foot. You win Game 2, fantastic job. You're up 2-0. You haven't done that this era. You win Game 3. You are now in a position where 98% of teams win this situation. You lose Game 4, it's a floater in overtime. Oh, well, get him next game. You lose tonight and you look horrible doing it. Horrible offensively, I should say. They've still been fine defensively, but you look horrible offensively. It's just, Luke, as always, puts it perfectly. I hate that we have to be so defeatist in a series that we are winning, not because it is the wrong thing to do, but because it isn't a stupid thing to do.
No.
A normal team.
Nope.
And look, you know what the worst part is? I picked the Leafs in 6. My prediction could come true. But we talked about this. Dominic made this point after Game 4. And he said, or was it Game 4 or Game... No, it was Game 3. After Game 3, he made this point that at this point, if they win in Game 4, great, you sweep them. If you win in Game 5, okay, you win in Game 5. But if you lose a couple of games and you kind of just survive and win the series, it'll impact your confidence going into round 2. Even if the Leafs win Game 6, is there anyone in their right mind that would pick the Leafs over the Panthers right now?
No. I needed to bring some joy, so this is potato.
Yeah.
Because this just feels depressing, man. It feels like we're having a funeral for a team that isn't dead yet. But we believe the proof of our eyes, our ears, and the past.
Matthew says, if the Leafs lose Game 6, it's over. Game 7 would be a formality. That is exactly what happened in 2021 against the Habs. They lost Game 6. Game 7 was a formality. If the Leafs... Oh, I don't want to think about it. Let's
get to Thursday.
Let's get to Thursday. And I'll say, my biggest thing, Lauren, you're absolutely right. They just have to score. I would die for one pass for a William Nylander breakaway to actually be to his tape. There was 5 passes in this game that Nylander could have had a breakaway on that were out of his reach for no reason. And every time I wanted to claw my hair out. Nylander has been bad in this series, Matthews has been it's been such a quiet 6-point series for him. Marner, the Sens might have unlocked game 5 to 7 Marner. We'll see.
The
But games,
only time. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just need to see the Leafs not look afraid of the moment.
Like, other than that unbelievable goal from Austin Matthews from Mitch Marner, the pass between the legs, and then Poppy in the back of the net, they have been
Fine. They've been fine.
non-factors.
Offensively, yeah. They've been fine. But you're paid, you're making a combined $25 million. I don't need you to be fine. I need you to be superstars. Look at what like Colorado is down 3-2 in the series to Dallas. You know why? Because Cale Makar has stunk. Their superstar is not coming through, and everyone is ripping him online for it. The Leaf stars are not coming. Like, they came, in games 1 to 3, they absolutely came through. They had like what was it, 19 combined points in the first 3 games?
Yep.
Fantastic. That's like so many more than they had all of last series against Boston.
And how many series can you win with only 3 wins?
Absolutely none. So it's shocking how consistent this team. I'm sorry, Al. The audio keeps clicking in and out. I'm sorry. I apologize. The Leafs are so consistent at winning 3 games, and then just mail it in. Or if they get down in a series, they're so good at clawing back to convince us that they've fought back. They're in a great spot, and then they choke. So, Luke, we said this in the regular season. If Matthews and Marner are on the same line, they need to run the show.
And they're having their show run.
I even said if, like, I suggested taking Nyes off because you should be able to figure it out with whoever on that line. Could you imagine what Matthews and Marner would be without Nyes right now? Which is an insane thing to say.
Which is why Matthew Nyes is more important to resign in the offseason. Sorry.
Well, Marner's certainly, like, at the end of the day, but it's inexcusable.
He's just proving me right.
I don't care how good Matthew Nyes is. It's inexcusable for Matthews and Marner to look that helpless. Like, it is. Like, it's not an indictment on Matthew Nyes. It's not an indictment on Matthew Nyes. He's been amazing. But having Matthew Nyes be so good should be a luxury that you are able to push him down in the lineup to drive the third line by himself. And then, like, we all sing Kumbaya, happily ever after. Instead, Matthew Nyes, like, again, Marner and Matthews have been good defensively. I don't care.
Defense doesn't put goals in the net.
Like, for as good as the Leafs have been defensively, if you give up 1 goal a game, great job. Fantastic for you. You still need to score 2, though. So, with that being said, I'm going to turn us over to our final segment. This is the part of the show where we invite your questions. If you guys have any questions about this series and the Leafs, maybe even the future, that you want to drop, leave them down in the comments below. We'll be sure to get to them. And as always, just a reminder to hit like and subscribe to Game Over Toronto. Go follow the Game Over Network on social media. OKO Digital in the chat saying, does Max Pacioretty stay in the lineup for Game 6?
No, thank you.
So, I think we're in agreement.
I would rather have Max Pacioretty. I would rather have Pacioretty than Pontus Holberg.
They're basically the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
but Pacioretty puts 2 hands on a stick.
Yeah, and Holmberg's a bit better defensively.
I'm
like, I don't know.
I'm not even like upset. Like, I'm sort of apathetic. Like, I'm a little dead inside.
I'm getting there. I said if they go back to like this, that needed to be the last trip to Ottawa after Game 4. Guys, now you have to go into as hostile an environment as Ottawa can muster, and you have to find a way to win. You have to find a way to prove everyone wrong, because everyone is laughing at them already with 2 games to go, possibly. So, Matthew saying defense. They say defense wins games, but not if you defend yourself from scoring. They were dumping and being second man on when losing. It's the dump and
That was
don't
the same thing in
chase.
last game, man. Yeah.
Dump
The
dump and don't chase.
Dump in silver place. Like that's
It's yeah.
if you're gonna play dump and chase, you have to outwork the other team and the other team's defenders, and they just didn't. They had nothing. And they had 2 days off, man. You had a fucking practice yesterday. Like,
yeah.
you're not playing Florida. You're being blessed right now, and you're spitting on it. Ugh.
Would you try putting Willie on line 1, Marner on line
No.
2, and McMahon with JT? No. If I was to
Actually,
change the lineup,
I would. That is what I would do, because I actually think that Willie and Austin have a better chemistry, if I'm being totally honest. I think Mitch and Austin love to play together, but I actually think that Mitch Marner is better suited to help JT score goals. That's my opinion, if you want me to be honest.
So I half agree with you. I think that Nylander and Matthews have better chemistry in air quotes because Nylander just has the puck on his stick more, so Matthews doesn't have the opportunity to choke in the playoffs. But when it comes to the lineup changes, for me, Nylander is on the third line because he can drive the third line play against worse competition, and you can put him up in the lineup for the occasional shift, similar to what the Sens are doing with Zetterlund there. Marner's on the second line, and then Domi and Matthews, I guess, is the second or the real second line. Marner Tavares is the first line. I don't put Matthews with either of the $11 million wingers just because you should be driving the bus yourself. Why do you need that much help? So
I don't think we have a third line center strong enough to play with William Nylander on this right wing.
that's
You can put Pontus Holmberg there?
The philosophy would be that Nylander just has to drive the third line against bad competition. He has to play with Holmberg anyways, so he might as well do it on the third line. I don't know. The reality is they're not changing the lineup. They are going to live and die with this set of with the top 5 of the top 6 set. It'll be Nyes, Matthews, Marner until someone gets hurt or they lose. It'll be blank with Tavares and Nylander until they lose. So it is what it is. AR saying,
Stoli? Do you start Stoli on Thursday, or do you just give Wall a shot?
You stuck yourself into this situation. You can't go to Wall now because he hasn't played all series. And I don't think Stoli was at fault for this game. Like, the 2 goals were a floater from the point that was through traffic that Matthews absolutely should have blocked, and he just didn't. And then a shorthanded 2-on-1 that was really more of a breakaway. So it is what it is. Like, I don't think Stolarz was to blame for this one. Shaky early, but it is what it is. AR saying, hello, can I join live and talk about the game? I'm sorry, we aren't doing that at this point in time. In the future, we had the idea for having Patreon members being able to call into the show, but for this season, we're not doing that. But if you have a question, absolutely drop it in the chat. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Music for Al saying, I've seen this rerun before. Berube should go in the locker room and bitch slapped a lot of them for showing a disgraceful effort. I don't disagree. Bad. Just fish slap them all. I don't know, man. With that being said, are there any other quotes? I gotta see if there's a Matthews on the Sens shorthanded goal. I just tried to find Mitchie up top. I thought we drew them in. I didn't see the guy and he picked it off. That's on me. I have to make a better play. At least he owned
You're the
up to
captain,
it,
bro. Like, fuck's sake. Oh my god.
Travis Green, I don't think our group has really felt pressure from the beginning of the series. Well, you certainly don't feel it anymore if there was any. Ottawa coach Travis Green will take a couple of hours to enjoy this, but we're going to have to play our asses off in Game 6. Marner's sense to the team, yeah, we kind of already talked about that. It's just, yeah, man, do not love. So, Wallace come into a series to save a series before and succeeded. Yep, that's true, but I'm the Wall defender. I just don't think that Berube has the conviction to do that. So for as much as I wouldn't hate it, I wouldn't be the goalies are not going to be the reason you lose this series. That's just the reality of it. How do you not see a guy in the middle of the open ice? All valid questions. All valid questions. I don't know, man. Brutal game from Matthews. He owes us a good game 6. The entire core owes us a better game 6, man. With that being said, Lauren, is there any final thoughts that you have on this Leafs team before we wrap?
I'm glad this game's over. You gotta go in and you gotta make a statement in game 6. You gotta pretend like you give a shit, because it didn't look like anybody in blue and white looked like they did tonight.
Nope. So with that being said, we are going to wrap the show there. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the program this evening following a truly dreadful Leafs Game 5 loss to the Ottawa Senators, making the series 3-2 now, shifting back to Ottawa. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky and YouTube at Zach Payne 41. Follow the Game Over Network on social media. Subscribe to Game Over Toronto. Lauren, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky and Twitter at Lauren in the 6. If you try to get a hold of me on Twitter, I won't be there. It's just a picture of my cat now. But I am active on Blue Sky, so go check us out there.
So thank you everyone so much for tuning in. You guys make these shows worth it even after a loss. So thank you so much for that. And we'll see you guys Thursday. For the love of God, better be after a win. Cheers, everyone.
Go Leafs, go.